Hi, this is Eddie Deezen. You're listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I was Mandark in Dexter's laboratory. Ha 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 ha.
You are listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall on Realm of the Mist Entertainment. What is up, guys? I am back. I know I was gone for a couple weeks in the studio. It may only be like an episode or two to you guys, but I am back. Welcome to Breaking the Fourth Wall podcast, and joining me tonight is the lovely and vivacious and totally frustrated with the world, Serenity Stone.
What up, everyone?
Now, tonight we were going to do a one-off about things that I've personally been going through, but unfortunately one of our guests that was supposed to be on had to cancel last minute, so the topic of conversation has changed to something that was hit on a little bit at the weekly show. Serenity, you and Colin and Don had talked about it a little bit, and that was the unbelievable lack of induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of rock acts, especially acts like Rage Against the Machine and specifically Iron Maiden. And of course I had to throw my 2 cents in too. But first and foremost, I mean, how much of a tragedy do you personally feel is with the fact that these two particular bands that were nominated did not make it into the final cut of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I feel like a man who's been castrated. I mean, that's horrible. They have no balls to not put Iron Maiden in there. Like, they are, worship-wise, amazing, and I love them, and I can't believe that one of my favorite bands wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, let me ask you. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Trust me, I've already got things up on screen. Serenity knows this. To dispute this atrocity as it is. But let me just ask: do you think there's a particular reason why some band like controversially, I can understand maybe not Rage Against the Machine because they are very political. They are very for lack of a better term, it takes a special person to really be a fan of Rage Against the Machine. I'm not dogging them, even though I'm not a fan of them. I'm not dogging them, I understand. But when it comes to Iron Maiden, I mean, these guys are pioneers in the rock and hard, heavy metal movement. Is there a particular reason you think that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame would say these guys aren't ready or not right for the Hall of Fame?
I think maybe they're just a little bit hardcore. I mean, that's what I love about them, but certain bands just don't fit into their categories of performing, and I don't understand why that would be.
Huh. All right. Well, let me
give me your point of view here.
Well, I would say they've got a bias against heavy metal acts, but there are acts in the Hall of Fame. I know Metallica's in the Hall of Fame. You know.
Oh, wait. Did you just call them heavy metal?
Iron Maiden?
Iron Maiden is heavy metal, but not Metallica. They're metal, but they're not heavy.
Well,
metal.
Technically they're thrash, right? But
okay.
But I'm using the broad stroke overall with the term heavy metal, which to me would classify anything that's harder than like Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
For that broad stroke, for everybody to understand what I mean when I'm using the term heavy metal or bands that I classify or deem as heavy metal, it's not that I'm not recognizing the subgenres of metal. It is just simply I'm calling them heavy metal because they're heavier than what's considered hard rock or rock and roll.
And I think that's the whole point of it. But if these bands are too heavy for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then why are there other genres in the Hall of Fame, like rap, R&B, I think some country? No, I don't think country's in there because they have their own, right?
I was just about to say that. Is the fact that Zach really? you would ask me that question now, is the fact that the country music does have its own Hall of Fame. So, I don't think country, unless it's something like, for argument's sake, if they ever inducted, say, Kid Rock and Hank Williams Jr. when they did a song together, I think that's the only way you would see like a country artist wind up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they have their own country fame hall.
And that was a good song, so they should be brought in.
Cadillac Pussy.
Oh.
Great song. But I mean, you're right. And in my mind, the major tragedy of this is that you have acts that are going into the Hall of Fame and have been going into the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to read off some of them from the rap groups. Starting in 2007, they started bringing in rap or hip-hop artists. They started with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I have no problem with Grandmaster Flash. I have no problem with Run DMC. I want you to understand, I have no problem with rap artists. My problem is specifically in the fact that instead of putting them into a Music Hall of Fame or starting their own Hip-Hop Hall of Fame, one, they're being put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, again, in this article from Billboard 2 years ago, they were talking about that rock is more of an attitude and not a definition of sound. Wrong. The reason it was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was for rock and roll, and all the subgenres of that field, be it doo-wop, be it Motown, be it soft rock, be it hard rock and heavy metal, or thrash, or speed, or death, or black, or whatever other subgenre of metal you want to put, it was for rock and roll. That is not an attitude. That is a style of music. But I do make exceptions for bands like, or rap groups like Run DMC or Public Enemy getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they did collaboration efforts with rock and metal bands. So that makes sense to me. But like Notorious B.I.G. or currently Jay-Z, they have no love for rock and roll. They've done nothing with rock and roll. Why the hell are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And even more so, how are they in there before bands like Iron Maiden?
I have to say, what bothers me the most about that genre being put into it is the fact that it's mostly beats that they use, so they're not using actual instruments and actually people playing the instrument. So it's not as much of a band. It's more about the rapper. So why are they putting that genre in there when everyone else in there, it's because of the talent of them as a whole coming together with their instruments, vocals, keyboards, whatever it is, but working as a team as one. So I don't see why the rap is going in there when they don't even have a guitarist or a drummer or that sort of group mentality.
Well, let's really paint this into perspective here. I pulled up an iHeartRadio article from February where they were talking about the announcement for the nominees for the class of 2021 for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And with the announcement, each year comes a debate by fans over artists and bands that were overlooked or snubbed. Here's a rundown of some of the names that have come up this year. Who's on this list do you think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? So this is a list that was eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year of artists that did not even, besides Iron Maiden and Rage Against the Machine, that did not even get considered. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Bad Company. Badfinger. Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Okay, that one is a tragedy right there.
Now, this is in alphabetical order, so just, we're still on the B's. Blue Oyster Cult. Boston. Bryan Adams. Okay. BTO / The Guess Who.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Dave Matthews Band. Eddie Money, ELP, Foreigner, Grand Funk Railroad, Ian Hunter / Mott the Hoople. I don't know who they are. But this one I do know. In fact, I'll preface it this one. This band in 1988 beat Metallica's And Justice for All for Hard Rock Heavy Metal Album of the Year by the Grammys. You ready? Jethro Tull.
Oh my God.
Jimmy Buffett. Joe Cocker. Joe Walsh as a solo artist. John Mayall. Here's one that I know you're going to respond to, so I'm going to give a whole pregnant pause right after I read the name for your response. Because this one dropped my draw, too. Judas Priest.
Oh my God.
Kansas.
Okay. Oh my God.
Little Feat. Meatloaf. Here's a name I know you know. Pat Benatar.
I know a lot of these names. I just find it hilarious.
Peter Frampton. Phil Collins as a solo artist.
But they have Neil Young.
Mm-hmm. Procol Harum. I don't know who they are. REO Speedwagon.
Oh.
Scorpions. The Smiths. Here's the other one that I'll give a pregnant pause to because I don't get how this band isn't in before anybody in the rap genre or even some people like even Dave Grohl. I would say this band should be in before Dave Grohl is in. Specifically since their lead vocalist is dead. Soundgarden.
I could see why they are, conspiracy theory why they're not.
Well, I got 3 more for you here. Sting, Styx, and Thin Lizzy. This is a list.
Damn.
This is a list of people who were in contention this year for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and were not even considered.
Wow.
How are any of these, except for maybe 2 of them, because personally I just don't know who the hell they are, but, you know, majority of the rest of them, how are any of them not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even before Iron Maiden? You know, half of what I've read was like legends of the 60s and 70s bands.
Right?
You know, Funk Railroad, Jethro Tull, Jimmy fucking Buffett. Everybody sings the Margarita song, or It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere. How is he not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You know, and again,
right?
at least Maiden got a nomination. You know, didn't get in, but got a nomination. How the fuck did Judas Priest not get a nomination?
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes you think, like, what are the stipulations of getting into the Hall of Fame? Like, is it, like, you have to meet certain criteria in order to get in, or? Well,
I heard on when you guys did the weekly show, again, I listened to it today, you guys had hit the point of the fact that, you know, the album or band has to at least have been around for like 25 years. There was a stipulation, which
yeah, something like that.
All on that list fit that criteria. You know, even Soundgarden, which I would argue Soundgarden was probably the newest rock/metal band that was in that list as far as like when they first came out. You know what I mean? And you know, you think Bad Motorfinger, that came out in late 80s, early 90s?
But is it, you have to be active? I think you have to be active for 25 years. So you have to have put out albums.
Okay, well,
that are at least 25 years apart. It's not like you have to put out an album every year, but be current, be hits, and have things released over a span of 25 years.
Yeah, but that doesn't make much sense because, like, if Metallica, who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for example, Kill 'Em All would follow their criteria, but say they stopped after the Black Album, they never made Load, Reload, Saint Anger, all them albums. Does that make them less qualified to go into the Hall of Fame, even though they came out in 1983 and were a hit for the 5 albums that they had? Because that would mean people like currently, like Todd Rundgren, who I don't believe is still current, but was a big contributor to I want to say the alternative style of music of the 70s and 80s. And again, as far as influential, I mean, with no Todd Rundgren, there would be no Nine Inch Nails, for example. That was how eclectic his music style was. So I don't think it has to be that you're still current, like you haven't retired or given up on music, but there has to...
Well, Nirvana's in it.
Yeah, exactly. There's another example, Kurt's dead. Nirvana hasn't been heard from since... I want to say 94, but it was a little bit more current when they did the tribute to Kurt Cobain and had a couple people jump up on stage and sing vocals with the original members of Nirvana.
Right.
I don't remember exactly when that was. I want to say almost 10 years ago now, but who knows? I'm just getting old. But I'm going to look that up. What is the criteria to...
I love it. You're telling me what you're looking up. Reading me what you're typing. Okay, so let's talk about ones that are in there. There's Madonna, Mamas and the Papas. I mean, John Lennon's in there, Led Zeppelin, as I said, Nirvana. There's a lot of huge names that are in it that have been household names for, a couple decades. So that's probably part of it.
Well, see, I would argue Madonna. I don't think Madonna should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Sorry.
She's pop.
I have to partially agree with you, but I think that because she influenced so many people and so much of a generation, that puts her up there.
All right.
Like, she's an influencer.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, but I mean, she's still not rock. She's pop. I mean, what's next? Don't tell me they're probably already in there. What's next? Fucking New Kids on the Block because they influenced the fucking boy band era?
Oh, God, no. They're not in there.
Does that qualify as rock and roll?
They were... No, but I think anything that would be considered... Okay, anything that would be considered influential to the music scene over multiple genres, I think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, here you go. This is what it takes. Artists become eligible for induction 25 years after the release of their first record. Criteria include the influence and significance of the artist's contributions to the development and perpetuation of rock and roll. This is the exact quote for criteria to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So everything you do 25 years after your first record is involved with basically the development and pushing forward the progressiveness of rock and roll. Rap is not rock and roll.
And does it really influence multiple...
It doesn't influence rock and roll. Well, I guess maybe it does. I mean, again, looking at bands like Kid Rock, 311, Rage Against the Machine, they use rap vocals. So I guess it kind of did influence rock and roll, but I still don't argue that that's a reason for rap to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I'm not saying these people aren't legends. I'm not saying that rap artists aren't legends in their own right and shouldn't be recognized. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if this genre has taken off as it has since the 80s, as strong as it has, give them their own Hall of Fame and stop snubbing bands that have been waiting to be recognized for their contributions for 40, 50 years.
Agreed. They deserve to have their own, but I think that there should be different Hall of Fames for it either way. Just like there's football, baseball, they have their own Hall of Fames. I think that genres of music should do it just so people can be recognized for the work and dedication that they've put in.
And see, that's something I agree with, just on your point, because I was going to say, or make a music Hall of Fame, just a general music Hall of Fame. But you're right. When it comes to sports, it's not the Sports Hall of Fame. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame, the NHL Hall of Fame, the NBA Hall of Fame. Each contributing sport has its own Hall of Fame. So why couldn't each contributing music style have its own Hall of Fame? Country has it. Rock and roll had it until everybody else decided, no, they all got to be put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So why not? Why isn't there a rap Hall of Fame? Why isn't there a boy band Hall of Fame? Let them be recognized in the genre that they are.
I think that recognition would probably give people something to work towards after they've already made it. They could have a bigger ceiling that they want to reach, which would be maybe the Hall of Fame.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe the answer is in both. Give each genre its own Hall of Fame to be recognized for the contributions they've done into that Hall of Fame, or into that genre of music, but then have an overall music Hall of Fame where everybody gets recognized because of the fact that they stood the test of time regardless of the genre. In which case, somebody like Jay-Z could be sat next to somebody like Mozart, for example. I know that's a weird combination, but,
But that's another point. Why aren't they putting in Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin? Aren't there... That's been over 25 years, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. They'll probably argue the point they didn't put out albums. No, because there wasn't recording back then.
They were orchestras.
Yeah.
Complete of 50 members of musicians, plus a bunch of other things going on. Come on, they put out a lot of albums.
Well, again, why limit the genre? Why don't we see Glenn Miller in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Where's the recognition for big bands? Yeah. And I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying, why is it specifically we're changing what the Hall of Fame was designed for one genre of music, but not for other genres of music? They call it diversity, but I don't think it's diversity. I think it's because this is what's popular with the mainstream right now. Hip-hop, not R&B, but hip-hop, mumble rap, all that shit. And so instead of giving them their own place, it's like, well, we'll just add them in here, and anybody who complains about it, you're a racist. Look, I'm not a racist. I don't think Vanilla Ice or Snow should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're white people. They're just rap.
Eminem's not in there, and I'm not looking to get him in, we'll say that.
No, Eminem, I don't want Eminem in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't even want ICP in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm an ICP fan. But they're rap. It's not rock and roll. What do you guys think? Tell us what you think in the comment sections down below. Do you think I'm just reading too far into it and rock really is just an attitude more than a style or genre of music? Or do you agree with me? Hey, even if we allow these bands in, how are they going in before these other legendary artists like we gave a small sample of just now? Let us know in the comment section down below. Also, let us know who you think should be going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Maybe we should see some names that we haven't thought of yet. We'd love to hear it, and we'll read about it on air. We'll talk about it. But until then, guys, we will catch you on the weekly show coming this Sunday. Sirenity and myself will be sitting down and going through the normal crazy antics that we always do. Yes, I am returning. And, of course, guys, keep an eye out for more one-shots and Breaking the Fourth Wall podcasts because they will be coming out. As you are well aware, we have closed down all the individual shows like Tinfoil Hat Society, Common Ground, and all that, and incorporated it into the Breaking the Fourth Wall podcast, bringing it back. So that way we could still have the topics of conversation, but we could do them at any point under the Breaking the Fourth Wall banner as opposed to trying to put together a day and time recording that would be consistent every week because of the simple fact of it's just hard to herd these cats around in this rocking chair room. So don't fret. Serenity's still going to give her conspiracy theories just under the Breaking the Fourth Wall banner.
Right.
But until that time, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We will catch you on the next Breaking the Fourth Wall podcast. See you then.